2,000 years ago, in the holy land of Abos, a humongous fire-breathing beast known as Bahamut wreaks havoc upon the earth. With the world engulfed in fire and chaos, the gods and demons of the realm join forces in order to seal away the abomination and finally bring about an era of peace upon the world. Many years later, in present-day Whitey, a bounty hunter named Favaro Leone is galloping away from another bounty hunter named Kaiser Lidford. They both end up jumping off of a bridge, but this doesn't put an end to their battle. They keep the chase on jumping from rooftops and alleys. Eventually, Favaro evades Kaiser by climbing on top of a ginormous water wheel. Upon spotting him, Kaiser cuts the ropes holding the wheel in place, causing the wheel to roll away. Meanwhile, 3 women get loaded into a carriage by a bunch of swindlers. And just when all hope seems to have been lost, Favaro's spinning wheel appears out of nowhere, barreling towards them. The wheel slams into a wall right next to the cart, surprising their captors. The women see their opportunity and use the distraction to get out of there. When the dust settles, Kaiser finds Favaro yet again and resumes his chase. This time, they end up in a bar. Kaiser blames Favaro for his misfortune of becoming a bounty hunter. The latter shoots his horse, Barina Charles Lidford, with an arrow, making the man run after it. Favaro drinks up, claiming that the poster of a man with a bounty over his head will cover for his drinks and the damage done to the owner's bar. The would-be kidnappers from earlier are returning to report to their boss with an empty carriage when suddenly the horses go wild, making the cart lose balance. As it's toppling over, electric sparks appear at the back of the cart. After a few seconds, Amira emerges on top of the cart, claiming that her compass has been broken, rendering it difficult for her to go to a place called Helheim. The men eventually return to their boss, who happens to be the same wanted man from the poster, named Garth. They tell him that a bounty hunter was responsible for their return without any women. Furious, Garth orders his men to kill Favaro, but surprisingly, Favaro is already there. He knocks out the men with ease, but when he sees Garth summoning 3 hounds, Favaro runs away. Garth is disappointed because the bounty hunter was being too boastful, showing up for his own death. Garth's monsters spit fire at him, but they end up getting engulfed in their own flames. It turns out that Favaro had poured alcohol on the ground, which made a sort of flammable barrier. Favaro is able to kill Garth with the magic spell seal Sokitom and turns him into a card, adding him into his bounty collection, making him the 20th trophy. Suddenly, a flying carriage driven by a dragon appears out of nowhere. Inside sits Bacchus, the god of wine, completely wasted. Also, his sidekick happens to be a talking chicken named Hamza. It turns out that they are responsible for guiding the bounty hunters towards their next target and paying them a reward after they complete their task. Favaro hands the god the card and gets rewarded with 800 rupees. He isn't satisfied because he was looking forward to a reward of 1,600 rupees, but nonetheless blows it all at a nearby bar. He spends the night drinking and flirting while bragging about his adventures as a bounty hunter. At some point, Favaro talks about setting out for Helheim, and coincidentally, Amira overhears him and stops in her tracks. Inside the bar, people discuss how dangerous the path towards that place happens to be, but apparently Favaro knows a shortcut. Kaiser manages to locate him inside the bar, but Favaro subtly sneaks out of there. Amira finds him under the moonlit sky and asks him the shortcut to Helheim, desperation visible in her tone. Unbeknownst to her, he was only bluffing about the shortcut, but he goes along with her request by demanding a kiss in return. They get cut off by Goss, Garth's older brother. Favaro puts 2 and 2 together, realizing that this is why he got paid half the amount. Ghost summons a gigantic yak-like beast. Favaro bravely attacks it, but in comparison, his tiny sword gets stuck in the yak. Its next target happens to be Amira. She stands her ground, unwavering. Amira assures Favaro that she can take care of this task for him, since he is her guide. Her eyes turn red. She summons a creature and transforms into a demon. Ghost and Favaro watch in amazement. She pushes the beast away with the tip of her pointer finger, and then starts attacking it with such agility that it doesn't even get the chance for a counterattack. Favaro gets his sword back, with which he stabs Ghost from behind and magically transforms the wanted man into a card. The monster falls dead, but Favaro gets hit by it. As it starts turning into dust, Favaro loses his consciousness. He dreams about falling from the sky down towards a fiery pit. It bursts open, revealing a beast growling at him. Favaro's eyes shot open, only to realize that he was in the basement of a bar. The woman there has already prepared a bath for him. He starts to undress, but she looks frightened and runs away, yelling that there is a demon's tail. Confused, Favaro starts looking around, only to end up seeing his own figure in the mirror, with a tail sticking from behind. The Archangel Gabriel, cladded in white and gold, is given the message that the God Key has been stolen. The Archangel Michael appears, assuring her that he has already given a human the task of finding out whoever is responsible for it. Archangels Uriel with red hair and Raphael with blue express their distrust in leaving a task of such importance in the hands of mere humans. Gabriel utters the name of the one given this responsibility, Jeanne d'Arc of the Orleans Knights. She heroically leads her knights in the battle against the demons and releases giant armored men controlled by magic called golems on them. Jeanne sees the vision of Bahamut in the dust-filled sky. The scene changes to Favaro trying to remove his tail, but to no avail. Amira informs him that she has binded the both of them with a kiss, and the demon tail will stay intact until he tells her about the shortcut to Helheim. Still naked, Favaro runs out of the room, realizing that running his mouth has landed him into serious trouble. The women from the bar call Kaiser to deal with the demon. Upon spotting the man, Favaro makes a run for it and Amira follows suit. They escape on a horse. Favaro starts thinking about a perfect opportunity to get rid of her permanently. She demands for the shortcut yet again. He proposes to take her there himself. Meanwhile, Kaiser is left wondering how he could have been unaware of Favaro being a demon all this time. The Orleans Knights arrive, announcing if the people might have spotted a demon in human's guise. Kaiser introduces himself as a knight and declares that he is after it himself. If needed, he can hand it over alive. The knight notices the bounty hunter's bracer around his wrist and calls him out on it. It had slipped from Kaiser's mind that he was no longer a knight. Before proceeding any further, Favaro wants to make some cash first. He has to hunt down a giant goat-like beast. He goes inside a spooky place with bodies hanging from the ceiling. Favaro spots a head on the wall, similar to the one in the poster. The head suddenly comes to life, followed by its whole body appearing through the wall. Favaro starts running, but Amira goes for the kill. She transforms into her demon form and slays the beast. After seeing her transformation, Favaro is finally able to accept the fact that the previous night wasn't a fever dream, which ultimately means that taking her life isn't quite a brilliant idea. Bacchus hands him the bag of cash for the beast. Favaro buys an outfit for Amira with it, and then takes her for a feast. She eats to her heart's content, and gets to drink booze for the first time in her life. She is so drunk out of her mind that she starts to dance with Favaro. Afterwards, she runs towards the open water. Favaro tries to make the most of the moment and takes his sword out, but his bounty hunter bracer doesn't light up, which leads to a failed murder attempt. Instead, he awkwardly introduces himself. Amira also introduces herself and gives her reason for wanting to go to Helheim. She wants to be reunited with her mother. The girl remembers a faint image of the woman from when Amira was a baby. She has been holding onto her pendant because her teacher had once told her that it will help Amira reunite with her mother. Just then, Kaiser emerges from the water, accusing Favaro for keeping his demon appearance a secret from him and for kidnapping a woman. Favaro kicks him in the face and hurriedly gets out of the water with Amira right behind him. Kaiser is left starstruck by her beauty. It's the next day. The knights are still out searching for the demon girl because she is the one with the god key. Favaro gives away her location to the knights in hopes of being released from her spell. They go after her. Amira starts to run but then decides to fight them as she transforms into her demon form. The knights attack her in an enchantment formation. Favaro is certain that they are going to get rid of her and release him from the cursed tale. However, his horse doesn't seem to like the sound of that and takes him to her. Meanwhile, the knights realize that their attacks are pointless because she only feels a tingling sensation. The horse tosses Favaro right in the middle of the attack, all the while kicking the knights. The duo gets out of there. However, soon enough they get trapped on a bridge, surrounded by the knights from both sides. Favaro turns the tables on them by holding her hostage instead, suggesting that they go for a dip. He cuts off the ropes of the bridge. Amira smashes a hole in it and they fall straight into the ice-cold water. The duo successfully gets out of the water, away from the knight's sight. Meanwhile, their faces are already on the wanted list around the town of Levian. On the other hand, the fallen angel Azazel watches Amira's journey from his flying fortress. Cerberus, Hades' guard dog, locates Amira with her puppet dogs. They know that she has already left the town. The puppets suggest that she should be killed, but Pazuzu, another demon, is certain that she will eventually come around. Azazel sits on his throne as he wonders a critical question. Who will Amira hand over the god key to? With the god key still missing, the barrier around Bahamut starts to weaken. However, Archangel Michael comes to the rescue. He uses his power to restore it, stopping it from crumbling any further, and recognizes this as the telltale sign of Bahamut's arrival. Jeanne's knight, Lavallee, returns with the news that communication with the rest of the knights is impossible due to the sandstorm. He wants them to wait it out. Jeanne jabs her sword into the soil. Bubbles start to emerge. She relays that this isn't some ordinary storm. This is the sign of the absence of the god key, which has led to the decline in the boundaries between the demons and the gods. Back in Azazel's castle, Cerberus's dogs inform them that the duo has made it to the foggy town of Nebelville. Azazel wants to wait rather than capturing them because their orders are only to find out who the human and demon are working for. The fallen angel also eagerly anticipates their encounter with a specific individual in that foggy town. Favaro goes to collect a herb by climbing a mountain, but as soon as he pulls it out, a dragon emerges from it. Favaro successfully blinds it with his arrows and it hits the ground. He explains to Amira that this herb will work as an antidote once they find their next bounty. The target is known for using restorative art, aka mixing of different potions. Meanwhile, Kaisar wakes up to find himself in the home of a family in Nebelville, who have apparently brought him in to nurse him back to health. The father of the family claims to be a doctor. On the other hand, Favaro and Amira are busy grinding the herb when Favaro is all of a sudden reminded of her having wings. Amira sullenly shows him that she only has one wing left after the incident. She recalls how Gabriel had opened the seal of the god's key and was in the process of absorbing its soul when she had flown in to steal it. However, in the process of it, she ended up losing her wing, thrown out into the human land, and became the god key herself by absorbing its soul. Back at the cottage of the doctor, they tell Kaiser that they have been hoping to ask him for a favor. Their town is being haunted by trolls. These monsters have been tarnishing their fields, eating their livestock and taking away their children. Kaiser promises to slay them. The daughter, Rita, suddenly gets up and storms out of there. Kaiser tries to tell her that she shouldn't be disrespectful to her parents. The girl tells him that she is sick of playing house and is older than Kaiser. He doesn't get alarmed by her words and continues to tell her how he is from a long line of knights and had a strict upbringing. Then one fateful day, his father was given the task to guard a tribute. However, it was stolen. As a punishment, the man was given the death penalty and was hung, which led to the demise of the Lidford family's knighthood. The townspeople gather with Kaisar as he prepares to fight the trolls. They emerge from the gate, but they already know his name and sound confused, asking why he is even fighting them. They put a cloth over his nose. He falls down to his knees, but when Kaiser looks up again, he is met with the sight of Favaro and Amira. It turns out that there were no trolls to begin with. The little girl had made it all up. She is a necromancer and had successfully fooled him by casting a spell. The town has been long abandoned. The people are zombies and the food he just ate was maggots and blood. Kaiser feels sick to his stomach as reality unravels in front of him. Rita starts casting a spell. Favaro and Amira cover their noses with the herb, throwing a piece of cloth towards Kaiser as well. They start slaying the zombies. Anger surges through Kaiser's body for being deceived. He ties the cloth for protection against spells and starts taking down the zombies. Soon he is about to attack her pretend family, but Rita comes in between. The mother bites her neck. Cassia kills the father and then the mother. Favaro destroys the Black Bible, killing the monster within, turning it into a card. Favaro informs Kaiser about how monsters had invaded the town 200 years ago, and the little girl was the only survivor from the doctor's family. She had turned to the Black Bible to revive the people of the town. Bacchus hands Favaro a reward of 750 rupees. As always, Favaro isn't pleased with the amount. Meanwhile, Kaiser has Rita right behind him. She somehow outlived the zombie attack, though she did turn into one, but with consciousness still intact. The demon and human duo make it to Eastmanport. Thanks to Bacchus guiding them, they are finally on the right track to Helheim, though still a bit skeptical because they have to take a boat to get there. But no one at Eastmanport knows of a boat that goes there until an old hag overhears him and directs him towards it. Unbeknownst to Favaro, trouble awaits as his bracer's glow goes unnoticed by him. Cerberus's dogs aren't able to locate them, claiming that their scent had vanished right after they left Nebelville. Azazel is certain someone must have interfered. Meanwhile, the duo does find the ship, but its condition is so bad that it could fall apart at any moment. The old hag calls it the Celepheles and points towards the captain of the ship. It happens to be none other than Armon, Favaro's old acquaintance. They greet each other with a little wrestling match. The ship then sets a sail. Armon confronts Favaro on choosing to be a bounty hunter rather than following his father Barossa's footsteps. Favaro didn't want to be an honorable outlaw like his father, saying he isn't cut out for that kind of life. Kaiser makes it to Eastmanport a little too late because Favaro has already left for Helheim, however. The same old hag hears him. On the other hand, Favaro wakes up on the ship from another nightmare. This time, it's Bahamut, almost engulfing him whole. Favaro tries to draw its image to Amira, but she only has food on her mind. Kaiser and Rita have climbed aboard on a ship called the Dagonia. Its condition looks great. Kaiser informs Rita that he and Favaro used to be best buddies until Favaro betrayed him by giving information about the tribute to his father, who ended up stealing it while his own father was guarding it. Meanwhile, Amon reminds Favaro of that fateful night as well. They recall how everyone else had died along with Favaro's father, and a demon had been unleashed. Amon was the only survivor. The latter promises to take them to Helheim no matter what. Afterwards, Amira asks who they were referring to while using the term old man. Favaro explains that it's his father. She surely has one, the man her mother married. Amira looks puzzled. She only knows about her mother and doesn't even have a clue about how her father is supposed to be. They get interrupted by a giant crab monster. Meanwhile, on Dagonia, Kaiser and Rita find themselves surrounded by pirates. Kaiser unsheathes his sword and fights them head-on. One of them takes Rita as a hostage, thinking of her as a mere kid. She bites him, digging her zombie teeth into his flesh. Back on the Celephalis, the giant crab attacks. It damages the ship, and Amon's crew doesn't even have any weapons to fight against it because apparently it's only a cargo ship. Favaro's arrow is powerless against it. All they have left is Amira to fight it. She rescues Favaro from getting devoured. At the same time, Cerberus's dogs are able to locate her. Amira fights the monster. She pulls its guts out, bodily fluid bursting everywhere. It falls back into the ocean. She bites a mouthful of the monster but spits it out because it obviously tastes terrible. Amon sees Favaro's demon tail and ties him up. More sea monsters jump on the ship. However, they appear to be on Amon's side. He had known all along that Amira was a demon. Amon cunningly narrates his dirty scheming. He claims to have turned into a demon himself and had planned everything right from the beginning. Lidford's execution and Favaro's father getting killed by a demon. Amon had done what that demon had asked him to do in exchange for magic powers. Amira desperately tells Favaro to run, but he can't since he is tied upside down. Favaro shakes his body loose, but instead 3 tiny smoke bombs fall from his pocket, making it hard to see. Rita has turned the crew into zombies, controlling them and the ship. It goes straight into Kelpahales. Kaiser jumps after Favaro. Amon has hit yet another jackpot with a second bounty hunter. Rita makes her undead crew attack the monsters. They start biting and tearing flesh. Amon goes after Favaro and Amira, demanding the man to hand over the girl. Amira is about to fight, but Favaro wants to deal with the old serpent himself. Amon almost attacks him with magic, when Favaro quickly shoots the wheel, turning the ship. It ends up vertically in the ocean. Amon can't sustain his weight and his grip loosens. The man meets his death in the mouth of the giant crab. And then there is Kaiser, who just can't leave Favaro alone. He goes after the man, climbing the sail, when suddenly a loud thunder is heard. Azazel sends a lightning tornado towards them. He takes Amira along with Kaiser, hitting them with thunder, and the storm vanishes back into the sky. Favaro watches in utter shock, trying to process what just took place. On the other hand, the Archangel Michael has commanded the angels to hold up the seal a little longer until backup from heaven arrives. However, gaps start to appear as their divine powers begin to weaken against the sheer force of Bahamut. Meanwhile, Rita informs Favaro, as she untangles a wooden lifeboat, that what they just witnessed was Gregor, the flying fortress of Azazel. Both of them get in the boat for the rescue mission, though if it were up to Favaro, he'd rather not save them. Inside Azazel's fortress, Amira is being tortured by Pazuzu for information on who made her steal the God Key, while Azazel enjoys his steak. Kaiser can only scream for them to stop as he helplessly watches her from his cage. He still thinks that she is some random girl. The demons laugh at his naivety. Favaro, on the other hand, threatens god Bacchus with his sword as he demands him to lend them his flying carriage. He wants Favaro to prove how serious he is about it all. The latter chooses to show his commitment by breaking his bounty hunter's bracer. Bacchus eventually gives in and gives them a ride. He wonders how Favaro will earn a living now that he has destroyed his bracer. However, the man isn't worried too much about it because he doesn't even know if he will live another day after his encounter with Azazel. The fallen angel enlightens Kaiser on Amira's actions, but the man still thinks that Favaro is the mastermind behind it. The demons keep laughing at his foolishness. Bacchus drops them off at the Sword Valley. He is certain that Azazel is going towards Cocytus, the demon capital, and this valley has a gate that leads to the capital. Bacchus bids Favaro farewell as this is going to be the last time they ever meet again. Favaro and Rita manage to enter the flying fortress. They fight skeleton knights attacking them from every direction. Azazel is back on his throne and comes up with the devious plan of putting Kaiser against Favaro for a combat, telling the man that he can take this opportunity to avenge his father's death. Favaro gets sucked in and thrown where Amira has been strapped. The place is littered with all sorts of torture devices. Kaiser comes falling through the ceiling, attacking Favaro, blaming him for his father's death and the misfortune that came with it. Favaro tries to knock some sense into him about getting out of the place first, all the while blocking his attacks, but Kaisar doesn't want to hear any of it. He keeps attacking Favaro and blaming him for every misfortune brought upon them. He spins his sword, making Favaro land on the ground. Kaisar's emotions are all over the place as water leaks from his eyes and nose. Kaisar ends up receiving a hard punch from Rita, making him roll on the ground. She has somehow found her way back to them. The portal for Cocytus opens but closes as soon as a few inches of the fortress almost goes through. It shakes from the sudden impact. At a distance, Jean's knights stand thousands in number. They launch flaming boulders at the castle. It rumbles with the force of the hits. After that, they send hundreds of dragons to capture Amira. Rita releases Amira from the torture wheel and hides behind a pillar. Pazuzu barges in, demanding where they've hid Amira. Favaro assesses their surroundings and asks Kaisar to help him just once so that they can get out of there. Kaisar finally agrees, and the both of them launch a wheel at Pazuzu, using it as a pulley attached to another wheel. They get elevated into mid-air when Azazel appears. Rita recognizes him right away, while Favaro can't believe his eyes, because it's the same demon he had seen standing over his father's dead body. Azazel snatches Amira from them. He is about to put his hands on her, but her body protects her by releasing a strong electrical jolt. A figure appears in front of Azazel as he is thrown out of his abode. While falling, the fallen angel recognizes the entity that has sent Amira. The captive group gets out of there thanks to Rita turning one of the dead dragons into an undead one. They are on the dragon when Amira starts mumbling about wanting to be taken to Helheim, but they get surrounded by a flight of dragons with Orleans knights riding them. The group is soon captured by the knights and presented in front of King Chariosh XIII. The king questions if Amira really is a demon because she looks like any other ordinary girl. The demon-detecting gem doesn't even glow in her presence. Just then, the sky turns golden and the three archangels, Michael, Raphael and Uriel, descend. Michael shows the humans Amira's true form, elaborating that she is half demon and half angel. Moreover, it's not possible for the God Key to be restored in the Ark due to Amira's half-demon form. The angels command the king to keep her locked under heavy protection. The rest of the prisoners are given the death penalty. Favaro regrets lying to Amira because he wouldn't have ended up in all this mess to begin with. However, to their luck, Michael orders against it. He wants them to be kept under protection as well. He shows them the image of Bahamut and how he could be set free, but for that, both the transcendent keys are required, created by Satan, and the god Zeus. If the keys become one with Bahamut, chaos will be unleashed upon the world. In order to keep that from happening, Michael makes it clear that Amira must not be brought under any sort of strain, which means they should keep her acquaintances alive. With that being said, the archangels ascend back into the sky. Amira doesn't want to be locked in. She starts throwing a tantrum, still insisting that Favaro should take her to Helheim. The man whips out his cursed tail and demands from her to lift away the curse. He refuses to go any further with her. If she still wants to go, she can do it all by herself. Amira gives him a hard slap, sending him flying across the place and angrily stomps inside the room. The knight seals the door until she has recovered her strength. They cannot get a break from trouble following them everywhere because the next thing they hear is the sound of a bell, alerting them of the arrival of ghouls sent by demons. Jean enters the battlefield bravely, certain of the power of the gods protecting her. Her sword releases a thunderous light, destroying the ghoul. Michael gets word from the knight that Amira was headed towards Helheim. The archangels get their answer. Whoever is protecting the girl was sending her to that place because the other transcendent key is located there. Gabriel decides to use the girl to their advantage before the demons start scheming. In the dark of the night, a mysterious man in a hooded cloak enters Amira's room, telling her that he has the answer for why she was created. He lures her out of the safety of her room. Meanwhile, Favaro and Kaisar start going at each other with a fork and knife. Rita's zombie hand knocks them out of their happy state, reporting to them the news of Amira's disappearance. The mystery man keeps luring her into the maze of hallways. He pulls out a pendant similar to Amira's. They start glowing crimson. While on the search for Amira, Favaro ends up in front of Bahamut's statue. Jean also joins him. He tries to subtly escape from her, but she has already spotted him and decides to tell him about Bahamut. Favaro realizes that the dragon from his dream is the same monster. Jeanne relays that once it awakens, this very beast is going to be the destroyer of the land. She reiterates the time when the monster suddenly appeared from the skies and wreaked havoc upon Earth. Just when all hope was lost, the most unexpected thing happened. The god Zeus and Satan transformed themselves into the transcendent keys, successfully trapping the beast in the holy land of Abos. Jeanne points towards the statue of a knight to whom the people pray. It is believed that a certain night will appear once Bahamut unleashes hell upon Earth. This night will restore the peace of the world, and so far the people think that she is the chosen one. Favaro speaks for himself, saying that all he needs in life are 3 things: booze, girls. Though Jian insists that Favaro needs to understand that he is also destined for something big. The proof is in Favaro meeting Amira. The scene switches to Amira, wanting to know why the man has a pendant similar to that of her mother's. He replies that she had asked him to hold on to it. He reveals himself to be none other than Lavali. The night takes a gruesome turn as the fallen angel Azazel flies towards the capital with his army to seize the God Key. The king sends his men to fight them, because he has given his word to the Archangel for protecting Amira. Speaking of the girl, she jumps down, landing right in front of Favaro. Amira tells him that she has finally met her old man. Favaro is confused because what is her father even doing there? However, she walks away without giving any explanation. Jeanne d'Arc commands Knight Goran, the sages and the catapults to guard the first outer wall, while Knight Laveli and the dragon riders will guard the second wall, and she will defend the castle. Meanwhile, the other 3 find Amira gobbling down food, as if she has been starving for days. Outside of the castle, the battle with the demons rages on. The humans launch their catapults while the monsters attack the outer wall, causing casualties. The enemy enters into the castle's airspace with ease. The beasts land on the rooftops and attack the knights. The dragon riders arrive to provide reinforcement. However, the enemy is way stronger. Even the archers are unable to do much damage. Azazel watches unamused. A flash of light appears from below, taking down a few dragons. It belongs to Jean's sword, which wields the power of the gods. Pazuzu goes after her because she seems to be the only one capable of posing a threat to them. Pazuzu jumps down with so much force that the bridge crumbles beneath them. Azazel enters the castle, leaving behind a trail of lifeless bodies. While the group is busy figuring out a hiding spot for Amira, Azazel is several steps ahead of them already. He reaches to their location before they even get the time to get away. Favaro watches in utter shock, eyes and mouth wide open. The image of the demon standing near his father's corpse flashes in Favaro's mind yet again. This time, he can tell that without a doubt it was Azazel. The fallen angel reveals to Kaiser that he was the one who had sent his father down to the gallows. He was the one who had set it all up just to pass time. Favaro musters up the courage to talk back and lighten the mood by declaring that he was the one who had schemed for Kaiser's father's death. The demon finds it amusing. Favaro tries to buy them some time as he instructs Kaiser to take Amira to Helheim. Favaro's weapon of choice, you may ask? A literal frying pan. He wittingly calls it a fight between 2 demons, referring to his cursed tail. Azazel sends his snakes at him. Favaro falls back with the hit. The fallen angel then sends his skeleton knights after Amira. Outside the castle, everything is in shambles. Jean hardly has any strength left in her to fight back. Pazuzu hits her with a final strike, bringing forth a tornado. She is blown away with it, but somehow manages to muster up the strength to fight back. Jean penetrates her sword into Pazuzu. The demon wickedly laughs, his mask breaking, revealing a lion's face as he disappears into the dark, laughing about the God Key. Jean starts falling into the sky, but Lavali riding a dragon catches her and they head towards the God Key. Back inside the castle, Favaro has literally nothing to fight the fallen angel with. A smoke shell is thrown in between them. The smoke starts clearing up, revealing Kaiser. He has come back to lend Favaro a hand because he doesn't want the killer of his father to be killed by anyone else. Azazel finds it quite hilarious and proudly declares himself to be the one who took the lives of both the men's fathers. Favaro clears up the misconception of living for anyone else. He announces that he is only living for himself, and Azazel is nothing more than just another demon to him. They start fighting again. Kaiser manages to dig his sword into the demon's chest. Just when they think that it's over, Azazel wickedly smiles and throws them out on the castle's wall, declaring that no human weapon can cause him any harm. Favaro helplessly grits his teeth as he watches Azazel tell them that he's about to bring death on both of them. Kaiser takes the hit by attacking the fallen angel. As he falls down through the sky, Jeanne attacks Azazel with her sword, unleashing Archangel Michael's power. The demon screams in pain, cursing mankind as he vanishes into thin air. Thanks to the power of the gods and a little meddling from the bounty hunters, the humans emerge victorious. Amira stands in front of the statue of Bahamut. She falls into a trance, teleporting in front of the beast. Her pendant releases a power which combines with Bahamut's. She screams in terror. Favaro and Kaiser hear it as well. Meanwhile, the archangels discuss if they should continue giving Genie the power of the gods. Gabriel decides that they themselves must put an end to Bahamut rather than Jean. She is certain that whoever is scheming on releasing Bahamut will soon be revealed, and besides, they still have the God Key. The king wants to award Jean with some territory for her bravery, but she has something else on her mind. In the meantime, Amira finally wakes up. She tells the group that she was inside a cocoon for a long period of time, but when she did finally emerge from it, she remembers being visited by someone who gave her the pendant and told her that she had to reach Helheim. There she will be reunited with her mother. Goran interrupts them, informing them that they have been summoned by the king. The group, including Amira, are all brought in front of him. A whole stage has been set up. Amira spots her father. The group is surprised to see that it happens to be none other than Lavali. Favaro quickly questions if that makes the knight a demon. Kaiser disagrees because he had met the man at White Arp. He sees the man as an honourable knight. The king announces knighthood for both Favaro and Kaiser for their bravery. Favaro starts complaining, but Kaiser readily accepts the title for the both of them. Kaiser cries happy tears for fulfilling his oath of becoming an Orleans knight, vowing to never go back to being a bounty hunter. Favaro gives him a reality check by reminding him that only Bacchus can take off the bounty hunter's bracer. Just then, the Archangel Michael descends down from the skies, congratulating the humans on their victory. He warns them of the approaching danger since the God Key's seal has been lifted. He bestows Jeanne with a sword called the Précieuse, known to slay even gods. The king's eyebrows keep twitching, jealousy coursing through his veins. All he gets from the Archangel is the assurance of his prayers being heard. Meanwhile, Azazel hides from the war god, searching for him. He is ready to escape to Cocytus through the portal, but gets stopped by the powerful demon Beelzebub. Azazel is angered by the demon's presence because he has been betrayed. The demon has not only betrayed the fallen angel, but Satan as well. Beelzebub burns the war gods and traps Azazel in flames without moving a single muscle. The only information he gives away is that the fallen angel will have to wait for Judgment Day to see what he has been scheming. Later that night, someone enters the king's chamber and adds a magic potion into his water. The oblivious ruler laments about the events of the day, the angel bestowing Jean with the sword. Even though only kings are supposed to hold counsel with the gods, he starts to gulp down the water, and the hallucination begins right away. He sees his deceased mother's apparition appear in front of him, tricking him into believing that Jean is soon going to get rid of him and take over his throne. Favaro and Rita find Amira wandering the hallways yet again, looking for her father. He decides to take her to the man. Lavali holds her close, telling her that she has grown a lot in the past 5 years. He thanks Favaro for saving her and bringing her to the capital Anate. Beelzebub pays a visit to Lucifer, informing him about Azazel failing in his mission to capture Amira. This time he wants to be the one to retrieve the girl in order to revive Satan. Lucifer doesn't object to his plan. On the other hand, Lavali proceeds to reveal some shocking information about Amira and her mother. He tells them that Amira really is a half-demon and a half-angel. However, he himself is just an ordinary human and definitely not her father. Many years ago, Lavali became her mother's bodyguard. He looks back on the time when her mother Nicole was forbidden to enter heaven. The mother and daughter were guarded by the knights on earth, but the attacks from the demons had worn them down. And then one fateful night, Beelzebub had stolen Amira. Nicole set out to look for her baby, leaving behind the pendant with Lavali, which is identical to Amira's. So basically the demons had sped up the girl's growth when in reality she was only 5 years old. Amira remembers being told that she had to steal the key from Helheim where her mother was. Lavali corrects her. He opens a map by combining the power of both the pendants. It shows that Nicole is present in the Valley of Demons called Prudicia. He gives her his pendant, which works as a compass to guide her there. Rita distracts the knights by using her magic and making a skeleton ride one of the dragons. Favaro is ready to bid farewell to Amira as she sits in a boat to escape through a water tunnel. However, she gestures for him to join her. Favaro isn't up for it, but ends up tagging along. The door of the king's chamber opens, revealing Goren, but someone beheads him right at that moment. The already frightened king's scream rings through the hallways. Lavali commands the knights to go look for Amira. As they disperse, he tells Kaiser that he will be given a squad of his own. Kaiser is puzzled because he has only been recently appointed. Lavali relays the news of Goren's death but doesn't want it to spread just yet. However, he is sure that Favaro's group isn't responsible for the murder. He gives Kaiser the compass pendant and requests him to guide Amira on her journey before the rest of the knights find her. Favaro and Amira are ejected out of the water tunnel, falling straight into the freezing river. They start making their way through the woods. The situation back at the castle has taken a grave turn. Lavali notices a few strands of golden locks in Goran's motionless palm. It's obvious that the hair belongs to the holy maiden Jeanne. The king's suspicion seems to have become a reality. Jeanne is cuffed and brought to the king. Though she keeps denying the murder accusation, the king doesn't want to listen to her. He is certain that she was going to murder him if Gorin had not interfered. Jeanne helplessly demands to see the archangel Michael. The king informs her that 3 angels have already departed the holy ground. And now that Amira is no longer locked up in the capital, Michael will soon abandon them all. Back in the forest, Amira wonders if her mother will recognize her. Favaro assures her that Amira's hug will certainly do the trick. After going a bit further, she senses danger approaching them. Amira hits something as it slowly becomes visible. It turns out to be one of the knights using invisibility magic. Kaiser arrives on his horse, demanding Favaro to give them Amira. Favaro thinks that the man is upset because they didn't bring him along. Kaiser starts dueling with him. His attacks are so strong that Favaro's sword ends up breaking in half. Cassiar subtly tries to tell him to just go along with whatever he is telling him to do. However, the rest of the knights keep attacking and Amira starts fighting back when suddenly a bright golden flash appears in the sky. The angels can barely keep Bahamut sealed. They send Michael to get reinforcement from heaven. Meanwhile, Jeanne is imprisoned. There, the same man that poisoned the king's drink pays her a visit and tries to lure her away from her faith. He leaves a potion for her to drink. According to him, it'll help her see the truth that the angels have been hiding. Before he leaves, he wickedly tells her that she better keep in mind that this guardian angel of hers that she so firmly believes in will never come to help her. The forest somehow splits into 2 different dimensions, and the trio gets teleported to an alternate universe. The knights look down at them from above, and then disappear out of sight. The trio spots a giant barb stuck in the ground. Kaiser and Amira try to pull it out, but to no avail. When Favaro eventually starts to pull on it, the whole thing comes out in a single try. And just like that, 2 giant wings appear, followed by a voice thanking Favaro for pulling out the barb. The voice happens to belong to an ancient forest dragon who was stuck with that barb for the past 200 years. He relays that it belongs to Bahamut. The barb seems to have torn through an alternate plane of existence. The dragon tells them that the monster had already appeared way too many times before, and every time it wreaked havoc on Earth. However, by some miracle, the gods and demons joined forces to seal the beast 200 years ago. The dragon already knows that Amira is the center of all this chaos that is about to unleash soon enough. He tells them that she is the key to the seal of Bahamut. If she goes near it, the seal will break, releasing the terrorizing beast for which the demons and angels are already busy assembling their forces. The scene cuts to exactly what the dragon has just mentioned. The angels and demons are making haste. As Amira is no longer in the capital, both parties feel threatened. The angels do not want the demons to take over the Holy Land of Abos, while the demons find this a golden opportunity to capture Abos and destroy the angels. Back in the alternate forest, Favaro begins to see visions of the destruction that Bahamut is bound to bring. Amira starts wailing like a toddler after finding out that everyone will die soon after the release of the beast, which includes her mother as well. The dragon suggests a solution to avoid it from happening that involves her staying behind in this alternate universe forever. This way their doomed fate can be avoided. However, it also means that Amira won't be reunited with her mother. The girl starts crying all over again. Favaro snaps out of his visions and sees the girl helplessly crying. He declares that they will change the fate because he believes fate can be changed as many times as they want it to. And now that they have come this far, they might as well meet Amira's mother. He jabs the barb in the ground, opening the gateway. They walk through it, thanking the dragon for his insightful talk. The old dragon lets Favaro keep the barb in hopes for it to channel the gateway later on if needed. Meanwhile, Jeanne's death by burning her alive is announced to the people of the capital. Bacchus also arrives at the news. At night, Rita jumps inside the room where Jeanne is locked up. She immediately smells fungus, foxglove, mandragora root, cockatrice gizzard, and basilisk heart. All the items are tacky enough for a castle to possess. She then stumbles upon an enchantment symbol that indicates the leftover traces of a magic ritual. Just then, the evil man appears from behind. Favaro, Kaiser, and Amira reach Prudicia, the Valley of the Demons. Favaro thinks back to the dragon telling him before he left that since Amira is half demon and half angel, she cannot keep Bahamut sealed because it requires humans' blood, however. What will definitely happen is that since she is a key, she will be bonded to Bahamut forever. In order to avoid that from happening, Favaro needs to kill her. The scene changes to Rita hurriedly telling the man that she was just about to leave. He obviously doesn't want that to happen, but Rita informs him that she is a zombie, already dead. Her power is no match against him, but it does buy her some time to get out of there. The next day, Jeanne is tied to a stake, wood piled around her to burn her alive. The people protest, screaming for her innocence, but the king doesn't want to listen to any of their pleas. Moments later, she is set ablaze. The people break through the barrier and the king commands his knights to take their lives because they are now considered traitors. Jeanne screams for the mercy of the gods. She doesn't want the commoners to go through this pain. The vision of archangels appears in the fire, telling her that she has only been a vessel this whole time and the gods do not carry any sort of love for humans. Jeanne is devastated to hear this. That hooded man appears yet again, offering her the potion so that she can reveal the truth to everyone. In desperation, she accepts it. The fire turns electric blue. The sword of Precious loses its golden glow and fills with demonic darkness. Jeanne, once a saint, turns into a witch. She summons a monster with the sword and escapes from the capital. The trio has entered the Valley of Demons. Favaro turns the barb into a makeshift sword. Just then, the ground starts to rumble. It looks like an earthquake, but the land beneath their feet starts to deteriorate into chunks, floating away from each other. To make matters worse, a gigantic, hideous shrimp sort of flying fortress appears. The sky and the ground are engulfed by the same fog that had once covered Nebelville. Out pops the same man that has tricked the king and Jean. He tells the trio that they should be able to hear the voice of the demon key eager to unite with the god key. Meanwhile, Rita is in Bacchus's carriage, asking about the spell that turns humans into demons, because that is exactly what has happened to Jeanne. Rita knows that a person can have magical abilities if they make a pact with a demon, but definitely hasn't heard of a human turning into a complete demon. Bacchus informs her that he has heard of such a man with a bounty over his head. The man is rumoured to control others as he wishes, and can change his appearance. Just as the god is about to reveal the man's name, the carriage jolts harshly, coming to a halt. They hop out of it, only to witness the sight of Azazel lying flat on the ground. Back in the Valley of Demons, Amira realises that the man happens to be none other than Martinette, her teacher. Favaro remembers her telling him that her teacher had promised her that she could meet her mother if she kept that pendant. Amira doesn't understand what the man is doing in the Demon Valley. He corrects her, telling them that they are in fact in Helheim. Kaiser pulls out the compass to double check, and sure enough, the thing has been consumed by dark energy. Martinette then introduces them to Beelzebub. He claims that since their lord Satan is no more with them, soon enough, Beelzebub will be the one to rule. The demon commands Amira to come along so that she can fulfill her duty, but the girl innocently tells them that she has made up her mind and would rather change her fate. She wants to take her mother with her. The woman will extract the god key from her. Martinette ponders for a few seconds and decides to summon her mother. The angel is frozen inside a giant crystal. It breaks and she falls out of it. Amira watches in shock, not knowing what to believe. Martinette assures her that this happens to be her actual mother. Back in the carriage, Azazel wakes up. Looks like Rita has stitched him up, but for safety measures, they have tied him with some godly rope. Rita inquires what the demons are scheming. In Helheim, Nicole has a look of bewilderment in her eyes. Amira tries to ask her if the angel really happens to be her mother. Amira tries to recall those fond memories she has with her, but instead she is met with those of torture and pain that her mother had endured. Martinette cunningly informs her that Beelzebub happens to be her true parent, because Amira is an imitation vessel of Nicole. Martinette was the one who had planted those made-up memories in that fake pendant to bring her to Helheim. The girl was created for the sole purpose of being used as the transcendent key for Bahamut's revival. Amira is reminded of Favaro's words when he had told her that her mother will remember her if Amira gave her a hug, because that is how mothers are. However, Favaro yells for her to stop because this is clearly a trap. Amira walks towards her mother. Despite Favaro's warning, she kneels down and hugs her. Nicole still has that mortified look in her eyes as she screams. The angel finally seems to calm down. She takes Amira's name and starts to turn into golden dust and disappears. Amira lets out an agonizing cry. Beelzebub and Martinette enjoy it immensely because the seal of the key has been unlocked. A bright light appears from it and enters Amira. Meanwhile, Azazel makes a deal with Rita. If she takes him to Abos, then he will help her save her friends. Back in Helheim, the transcendent key is ready. Favaro decides to devise a plan. He tells them that he'd like to join the demons. Beelzebub breaks him free and Martinette offers him a potion to drink from. Favaro takes it and tries to trick him by firing his gun, but Martinette quickly catches on and grabs him by the throat. He forces the potion down Favaro's throat, transforming him into a demon. Beelzebub takes the transcendent key and releases Kaiser. The man rolls off the giant boulder and falls down into the sky. Favaro only watches. The angels cannot hold Bahamut sealed any longer. They give it their all, but the beast is too powerful. Michael knows the reason, being that the transcendent key is ready. Inside Bacchus's carriage, Azazel tells them that Beelzebub is the mastermind behind the key girl, and Martinette has been helping him all this time. Bacchus assumes that the man is a demon, but Rita, while preparing some antidote, says that she can see through his tricks and believes him to be human. She rushes them to get going before Amira becomes one with Bahamut. Michael tells the rest of the archangels to remain steadfast, because as long as they keep the barrier up, Bahamut will not be able to become one with the transcendent key. However, just when the rest of them get their heads back in the game, something appears in the sky and comes straight towards them. It happens to be Demon Jeanne. She goes straight for Raphael, killing her with Precious. She then goes to attack Uriel next. The Archangel fearlessly keeps guarding the seal till her last breath, as Jeanne cuts her in half. With 2 Archangels gone, the seal is almost at its breaking point. Michael sees Jeanne coming after him this time. Kaiser hangs by a rope, but it is blown away. He gets saved by Bacchus. They spot Jeanne the demon and Michael the Archangel falling from the sky. Jeanne notices them as well. Beelzebub's gigantic hideous shrimp fortress is on the move towards Bahamut. Beelzebub proudly announces that the day of judgment has arrived. Bacchus tries to fight Jeanne, but with Precious in her hands, she overpowers him easily. Azazel climbs on top of the carriage, declaring that he would have already dealt with Kaiser, but he has elsewhere to be. Rita hands over an antidote for the demon transformation to Kaiser, but he falls off yet again. He gets tangled upside down in the roots of a tree. The knight just can't catch a break. Azazel shows up, saying that he has changed his mind and would rather settle things with the humans first. The fallen angel untangles him and takes him away. Bacchus is still fighting Jeanne. Rita pulls out the last of the antidote. She uses her magic and zombie arm to deliver it straight into Jeanne's mouth, but Hansa the duck gets tackled and the antidote misses its mark. Just when all hope seems to have been lost, Michael swoops in. Jean pierces the god-slaying sword into the angel, but he grabs a hold of her and delivers her the antidote with a kiss. It works. She transforms back into her original maiden self. Jean realizes what she has done, but Michael assures her that none of it is her fault because this is the angel's punishment for losing Zeus and not working alongside the humans for over 2,000 years. He comforts her by telling her that she will still remain a pious maiden, blessed by the gods. He will always be there with her in spirit. The archangel then turns to golden dust. Azazel attacks Beelzebub just when the latter is about to attack the angels holding up Bahamut's seal. The demon warns the fallen angel for being foolish. Kaiser jumps down right in front of Martinet. Bacchus's carriage comes their way as well. Rita runs towards the transcendent key, but demon Favaro blocks her way. He sends her flying with a strong kick and escapes with the transcendent key. Martinet drinks a potion to fight the god. Kaiser distracts Favaro as the latter waits for the key to bond with Bahamut. Favaro starts to fight him with the barb. Kaiser notices that there is something eerily different about Favaro this time. He has truly become a demon. Kaiser shoots him with an arrow, and as the latter lies, the transcendent key changes color and a mirror appears, shining bright. Lavelli comes from behind them, ensuring Kaiser that backup has arrived and that he has done a fantastic job so far. The gods start to descend. Rita yells for Kaiser to get away from the man. At that moment, the seal breaks, releasing Bahamut, and the beast attaches itself right away with the transcendent key, taking away Amira. Kaiser runs after her, but to his surprise, Lavalli pushes him over the edge. Kaiser falls down for the 4th time. Everyone watches as the fusion takes place. Lavelli is buzzing with happiness as he watches Bahamut's shackles break. The key bonds to Bahamut, and Amira utters Favaro's name one last time before fulfilling the role that she was created for. The ground crumbles beneath Bahamut as he awakens. Beelzebub joyously celebrates the moment as he addresses the gods, telling them that the long war between them has finally come to an end, and they will now have to kneel in front of the demon kind. Beelzebub then proceeds to address the demons. He tells them to engrave his name in their minds. As he waits for the monster to showcase its power, it turns around at the last moment, attacking Beelzebub first, tearing the arrogant demon in half. Lavalli watches the spectacle in pure amazement. Kaiser is rescued by Rita. He doesn't understand why Lavalli is behaving this way. Rita explains that the man has been behind everything. He had fooled them into going to Helheim, turning Jean into a demon and deceiving everyone else, including gods, demons, and mankind. All for his purpose of reviving Bahamut. The angels and gods get busy with fighting off the demon army while Bahamut wreaks havoc. Kaiser wants answers for who Lavalli truly is. Rita chimes in, informing him that the man has a bounty over his head and his actual name is Gilles de Haye. Kaiser attacks him with his sword, piercing it through his chest, but the man is unfazed by it. He turns around. His face transforms into that of Martinet. He holds Kaiser by his head, telling him to just watch the once-in-a-lifetime spectacle unravel. He throws the man and tells him to fight with his buddy instead. Favaro climbs the boulder, attacking Kaiser with the barb sword. Beelzebub laments not being able to control Bahamut, even though the transcendent key was created by him. He starts cursing Martinet, realizing that he has been tricked. Azazel shuts him up by plunging his fanged sword into the demon's mouth, settling their score. Bahamut starts blasting away human civilization. The blows engulf the castle and the capital in flames. King Charus XIII gets trapped inside. Meanwhile, Favaro and Kaisar are in a head-to-head fight when Bahamut targets Beelzebub's fortress, making them lose balance. Dirt starts flying in every direction. The place is in shambles. Bahamut keeps blasting anything and everything, not aiming at anyone in particular. Bright fireballs keep erupting in the darkness. Gilles de Rais throws Favaro his own sword. The man doesn't hesitate to attack Kaiser, chopping off his left hand. Favaro takes the hand to Gilles. The latter's smirk wipes off his face as soon as he hears Favaro telling him that while having a bounty over his head, he should be careful of men having their bounty hunter bracer. Kaiser understands right away and kills the treacherous man with the incantation of Seal So Keton. Rita inquires Favaro about the exact time he had turned back to his normal self. Both the men recall Kaiser shooting him with the antidote attached to the arrow. They had to put on a show in order to not make Gillies suspect anything, though they didn't think chopping off Kaiser's hand was going to be on the list. Favaro makes up his mind about putting an end to the madness happening around them. The only solution happens to be killing Amira with his own hands. Kaiser thinks that Favaro is probably pranking him, but Favaro confesses that the dragon in the forest has already told him to do so. Kaiser is in disbelief because he had promised to save Amira. Favaro wants him to understand that Amira has suffered enough. They should be putting an end to her misery. Bacchus transforms Hansa into a giant ride to reach Bahamut. Kaiser decides to tag along, but he would rather break Amira free from Bahamut's spell rather than kill her. Hansa starts dodging Bahamut's fireballs but is a bit hesitant on getting closer to the monster. Kaiser insists for the duck to fly nearer. They start to witness something unexpected. A barrier begins to form around the monster, but this time the demons come to aid the angels as well. Taking it as a golden opportunity, Hansa skillfully flies near the beast. The duo lands on it successfully. However, it soon occurs to them that getting on Bahamut wasn't their only problem, because trying to keep a steady foot on the monster is another challenge. They keep trying and trying, but Bahamut continues to turn in every direction, tossing them with the movements. The duo ends up near the key. Favaro pierces the barb in it. On the first hit, something bubbles out of Bahamut's throat, and on the second hit, Jeanne sees the image of the Holy Knight flash in front of her eyes, because that is the exact position Favaro's silhouette appears in the sky. The monster makes Favaro jostle so badly that he ends up dangling right in front of its eye. To his surprise, Amira comes out of the eye. Favaro apologizes to her for not being able to save her mother. The girl isn't resentful because apparently Nicole did recognize her with the hug, just like Favaro had told her. The man sentimentally promises that they will take Amira to a much better place than Helheim. Amira kisses him passionately and goes back inside, but not before thanking him one last time. Hansa rushes for them to get off the monster because it looks like it is going to burst at any moment. Kaiser doesn't want to leave without Favaro. The duck swoops in and drags him away. A few moments later, the beast ruptures and Favaro falls from it. In the royal capital, half a year later, Kaiser becomes the captain of the Orleans Knights. A new king is about to be crowned. A bartender asks if Favaro thinks the knight that sent Bahamut to another dimension is still alive, unaware of the fact that he is literally speaking to him. Favaro instead replies that he's quite sure Bahamut is still alive somewhere. He then steps out of a bar and mounts his horse. The man is still a knight. Kasai suddenly appears, telling him that he isn't going to be in Favaro's debt so easily. Their horses start to gallop away on the bridge, just like in the beginning. For now, things have gone back to the way they were before. After all, trouble follows wherever Favaro goes. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.